Well, John, this is like you're going to be roasted here. I'd like to ask Councilman Sindeman to come up here and join me. You know, much what I've learned about advocating for dogs, I learned as a freshman councilman under Joe Simpergren's awesome stewardship and watch over the kennels. So, Councilman Sindeman, if you remember. Thank you.
Just a few things. I got to know John Baird a little bit when I first got elected 16 years ago and was awestruck by how patient he was, not just with the animals with which he had to deal every day, but also the residents. Quick personal story in 60 seconds or less. After the 2004 debacle of an election, when John Kerry lost, my fiance at the time and I decided that what we needed to do was make ourselves feel better. So we went to pay a visit to John Baird and we adopted a dog. We didn't just adopt the first dog that was brought out, which was a thoroughbred Doberman Pinscher. We didn't adopt the second dog which was brought out, which was a thoroughbred German Shepherd. We adopted the dog who John let us know he wasn't sure she was going to be okay because when he found her in the cultural gardens, she had been completely wrapped up in duct tape. And she was starving to death, and yet she was able to run around. And for 4 hours, the Friends of the Cleveland Kennel and John decided to do what nobody else would have done, which was not give up on that dog. She was not only then taken to Dr. Ryan Forsgren's clinic, who actually saved her life, but in 2008, in the middle of the night, when someone decided to set my house on fire, and my 8-day-old daughter was there, it was that dog that everybody gave up on who woke us up and told us to get out.
That's right.
If there isn't a greater example of what a person who works at 601 Lakeside should strive to be like, it's John Baird. He doesn't give up on people. He doesn't give up on creatures. He treats everyone with kindness, and he recognizes that there's greatness in even the most sad and desolate animal that may come to him. I think, John, we all owe you a debt of gratitude. I owe you a lot more than that. For that, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Sharon Harvey, Executive Director of the APL, Dr. Brian Forsgren from Gateway Animal Clinic, and Becca Britton, President of the Friends of the Cleveland Kennel, to come on up here and join us for a special presentation. This council has looked at many policy issues over the years and has made our policy laws better. Much of that is much of the credit of these people behind me. The first speaker is our amazing Executive Director of the APL, Sharon Harvey.
I'm actually kind of angry at John. When I came to the APL 10 years ago, I made him promise that he was never going to leave me, and now he is leaving me. And all of us, but I'm very happy for you. 10 years ago when I did take over at Rescue Village, the director at the time said to me, there's somebody you have to meet. It's John Baird in the city of Cleveland. And I came to Cleveland and met John Baird, and we worked together for the 4 years that I was there. When Dr. Brian Forsgren gave me a call while I was at Rescue Village and suggested that I think about the Cleveland APL job when that opened up, I did a pro and con list, and way on the pro side of that list was getting to work with John Baird and making a difference in this amazing city together. When Aisha Dunlap, our Director of Operations, joined the APL, the director at the time said to Aisha, there's one person that I need to make sure you all know before I leave here, and that's John Baird. I gotta say, you know the Kevin Bacon game? I kind of feel like we have our little John Baird game here going on. All of the stories that have been shared about John are phenomenal, and I could add so many more, but I just want to take a minute to talk about some other work that he's done that maybe hasn't been as apparent. In 2008, we entered a 6-year partnership with the ASPCA as a community partner that gave us access to a fund of grant dollars that only a few communities in the United States had access to. When John was approached about partnering with us, he was all in. And for the next 6 years, he was completely all in. And through that partnership, the difference that was made in the Cleveland community, whenever we, the ASPCA, when we sat down and said, there are things we need to do, progressive ideas, John was all in. As a matter of fact, he was out in front suggesting things. There was nothing we could throw at him that he said, well, that's going to be too much, we can't make that happen. From that, we heard earlier tonight about the incredible increase in the live release rate at the Cleveland City Kennels. John has embraced progressive spay-neuter initiatives that limit the number of animals now being born without homes on the street. He's been a progressive advocate for trap-neuter return for feral cats, spearheaded, and I got to tell you, for municipal shelters and leaders of municipal shelters to spearhead an effort to overturn breed-specific legislation unheard of. And John did that. So I just want to finish by saying it has been a privilege to work with you for the last 7 years. I'm still mad at you. I'm really mad at you. But you deserve a rest because you've done so much and made such an incredible difference. Thank you.
Dr. Brian Forsgren from Gateway Animal Clinic.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity and honor to speak on behalf of John and tell you a few stories about our relationship. I met John in 1979. I've known him so long, maybe even longer than Michael Malemsek was in the city council. But he was 3 years old at the time. I was taking care of his dog. No, he's been a great, the biggest asset that I think John brought was his capacity to network with a positive energy for the benefit of animals. I've been in situations where people were, their own egos were in the way, and they did not necessarily think the core purpose was to help the pet and help the human-animal bond. Well, John was always that man, and he really was faced with an almost impossible task. If you look at the demographic of dogs that ended up at John's city kennel, our city kennel, they were that demographic represented the most desperate, abused, neglected animals possible, okay? And there were days and truckloads of those dogs left that building, okay? And not walking, all right? So John's done an amazing job pulling all those pieces together. I would say that we should pass the baton to the city council and say the next piece is that new kennel, okay? Let's get it built. I mean, these have been, since '79, I've seen a lot of wild and crazy things. Things are really moving in the right direction. Our connection to animals is really amazing. We're a little disgusted with our own species, so we can really relate to dogs and cats and pachyderms and whatever. But in any event, John, I'll just tell one more story. One metaphor for John's life is that when he golfs, if the hole was back in that corner, John would stand up there like this. Somehow he was effective. It's very similar to his working with the current city kennel. He took an impossible game, an impossible situation, and he made it work. Okay, so hats off to you.
Our next speaker is Becca Britton, the Friends of the Cleveland Kennel.
I met John 13 years ago. I was 22 and green and had never been in a shelter in my entire life. I happened to go into the Cleveland City Kennels. So I volunteered, started Friends of the Cleveland Kennel, and John did nothing but support me from day one. So it's been really incredible having someone with such experience and knowledge support someone like me who really just had the passion, and he really he's been there for me all along the way. So I just want to thank you, John. And I want to present you with this plaque from the Friends of the City of Cleveland Kennel for everything that you've done for us and for the dogs of the City of Cleveland.
John, you have truly been an amazing leader, and you know, I want to ask the mayor to come up and say a few words. I want the audience to know that the mayor and the council is committed to building a new kennel. We're in the process of redesigning the design now, and we're hopeful that construction will begin next year. So the funding's committed, the location's committed, it is moving forward. Wally, please join me in welcoming Mayor Frank Jackson.
Chief, I want to thank you for your service to the city and the work that you've done. You brought professionalism to your trade, and you've also brought a professionalism in the way in which you treated the animals who came through the kennels. You took a not so good situation, you made the best out of it. So again, I want to congratulate you and really thank you for what you've done. Thank you, sir.
We have one more person who wants to come in and say hello to John. And this person wouldn't have been with us today or tonight if it wasn't for John Baird. So will all of you please join me in welcoming Archie to the council chambers. So Archie's here, he's going to give John a big kiss. Here, can Archie sit down so the cameras can take a gander? I don't know, I'm certainly not going to be I can't top Councilman Polenzic's story because that was pretty funny. But I will tell you just personally, there's been no person who has influenced my life more about how I respond and treat animals than that guy right there. John knows that inherently all animals are good. And it's the person who owns that animal and treats that animal is how that animal acts. And John always took the approach that when our council was looking at a very difficult piece of legislation, that, you know, you should really punish the deed, not the breed. And so, John, for that, I'm so thankful, and I know so many others are as well. We would not have passed breed-specific legislation if it wasn't for John Baird, and I'd like to think a lot of the work that we did here in the city of Cleveland, the state followed suit, and a month after we adopted our law, the state mirrored their legislation almost similar to ours. So, John, you've been an amazing leader. We have one more presentation, and I'd like to ask Councilman Simperman to present a resolution on behalf of the City Council.
Would all members of Cleveland City Council please come forward, because we all have a connection to John? We give these resolutions to people in this community who do a lot. John's resume is way too long, and the number of lives he's benefited wouldn't fit on 100 of these. But one thing we always say, John, at the end of these, when we present them, is that we are honored to honor you. No truer words were ever spoken. You are an amazing person, and we're grateful for your presence. God bless you. Congratulations.
To everyone that's here tonight, this is really making this decision even tougher than it was to begin with. But we wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for just about everybody in this room. I mean, everybody that supported us, the mayor's office, the safety director, all the city council, constantly, the support has made the job so much easier to get things done. The municipal judges have been great, and the prosecutors have all bought into our program, and it really has made the job easier, and the countless number of volunteers, I don't know what we could have done without them. And to our partner, the Animal Protective League, somebody that we can always lean on in any case. We needed them more than they needed us, so we were very appreciative that they came to us and asked to be their partner. But in the end, all I can say is that I don't see how I can thank everybody that's helped me in the 34 years that I've been doing this. But the city really has shown that it can take care of the dogs, and it does the right thing.
So let's all give it up.